Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and today I'm recording Cambridge O-Level 5070 Paper 2, May-June 2021. This is a 1-hour paper and we have 40 multiple choice questions in it. So without any further ado, let's get started. I have already recorded its part 1 and part 2. You can check them out. I must have put the link in the description below of the entire playlist. So yeah, you can check it out. And today I'm going to continue from MCQ number 20 onwards, that is 21 and ahead. So let's start. Okay, so here was where we left. We have done till here. So moving on to MCQ number 21. Brown nitrogen dioxide reacts to form colorless dinitrogen tetroxide in a reversible reaction. The forward reaction is exothermic. Forward reaction is exothermic, that means backward reaction is endothermic. So which changes would make the equilibrium mixture darker in color? So first of all, we need to know that brown nitrogen dioxide reacts to form colorless. That means here it's brown, here it's colorless. We need to do something in that kind of way that the equilibrium goes in reverse, shifts towards the reactant side. Because brown is a darker color and colorless is actually no color. So we need to make the solution, the mixture, darker, alright? So for this, since it's an exothermic reaction, that means if we decrease the temperature, the reaction goes ahead. That means the color gets less dark. So for temperature, we need to increase the temperature so that the equilibrium can shift backward. Because decreasing the temperature takes the equilibrium forward, which will make the color less darker. So again, we need to increase the temperature. So for this option, we cannot decrease, we'll either choose C or D, which talks about increase in temperature. And now moving on to the pressure side. Since pressure always goes towards the side which has lesser moles. So in case if we'll increase the pressure, so the equilibrium will shift towards the colorless side. That because colorless only is 1 mole of gas while brown is 2 moles of gas. So for this we are supposed to shift the equilibrium backwards, so we will decrease the temperature. So the answer for this must be increase temperature and decrease pressure, which is C. Alright, so moving on to 22nd MCQ. Which row shows pH value of 0.1 mole per dn cube solution of ammonia, hydrochloric acid, sodium chloride and sodium hydroxide? Okay, so if we look into this question, we need to guess the pH values. Of course, you will not be able to know the exact pH value, but we know what thing is acidic and what is a strong acid and what is a weak acid, strong base and strong weak base, right? So we have this kind of an idea in our mind. So if we talk about ammonia comes amongst a stronger base. Like it's not very strong, but it's basic, like it's a basic gas, okay? So its pH should be somewhat more than 7, but not 8, 9. It should be like something like, a bit higher. It's not very less basic, it's a bit too basic, alright? So ammonia is kind of strong based. So it should be something greater value. And then if we talk about HCl is one of the strongest acid and its pH will never be less than 2. You'll always get the option of 1 or 2. So make sure you know this. So HCl must have around 1. If we write over here, see over here into the option, so it can either be for NC, either this or this. And HCl, if we see over here, so it's 1 or 11. Of course, it cannot be 11, alright? It cannot be 11. It's going to be 1. So definitely the answer is C, since we have rejected all the other options before, because it clearly makes no sense, because NaC is not neutral, neither is it acidic. So of course it's C the answer. However, let's look into the other options as well, so we can have a bit of an idea. If we talk about sodium chloride, it's a salt. Salt is always neutral. We always need to know that salt is has a really neutral pH. That is what makes it salt. It's not an acid, it's not a base. Because how is salt basically made? In a reaction, salt is always made with the reaction of an acid and a base, and when acid and base combine together, so they basically have this reaction which is known as neutralization reaction. In result we have salt. So that is why NaCl is the it's a salt, so its pH is supposed to be neutral, that is 7 clearly. And NaOH is sodium hydroxide, it has an OH ion with it, which makes it basic, of course, so it's going to be 13 pH. Alright, so where is my cursor? Okay, so let's move to MCQ number 23. 4 test tubes are set up as shown. This is silver nitrate, CuN copper nitrate, lead nitrate, and NaNO3, that is sodium nitrate. Okay, what is the effect of adding dilute hydrochloric acid to each test tube? If we look over here, we're supposed to know, whether it will have a clear solution or a precipitate will be formed. So if we look at, if you're adding hydrochloric acid, which is basically a very strong acid, so if we add it in silver nitrate, so of course it's going to form a precipitate, alright. And then if you're talking about the second one, that is copper nitrate, so it is not going to form a precipitate. However, it's going to be a very clear solution. For this, if we look into it, you must have gone through the reactions in acid-base chapter that you must have come across. So make sure you go through all of those reactions so that you are able to identify this very easily. So for this, if we talk about, so it is going to form precipitate. This is not going to form a precipitate. Clear solution, that means it will be clear solution, not a precipitate. Then Y will again have precipitate, and this will not have a precipitate clear solution. This is mainly also linked with the solubility chapter, in which you will be able to easily understand it. Make sure you go through the chapter. So its answer is B, since it follows all the conditions. Moving on to MCQ number 24. Aqueous ammonia reacts with compound to form a salt, ammonium phosphate. What type of reaction will ammonia undergo to form ammonium phosphate? Okay, wait, come again. Aqueous ammonia is reacting with it to form a salt. Okay, let's first highlight it that aqueous ammonia reacts to form a salt, ammonium phosphate. Alright, what type of reaction will it undergo to form ammonium phosphate? Of course, ammonium phosphate is a salt, ammonia is a base, aqueous ammonia is, of course, it's basic, it's alkaline. So for this, we need to do neutralization reaction, as I just told you above, that how a salt is formed through neutralization reaction. So its answer is, of course, going to be neutralization, that is B. Moving on to MCQ number 25. Sulfuric acid is manufactured in the contact process. Okay. Several substances are involved in the process, including vanadium oxide and water. Which roles are played by vanadium oxide and water in the contact process? We are here talking about vanadium oxide and we're talking about water. These two have a specific role in it. So vanadium oxide, as we know, it's a catalyst. So for this, it's going to be catalyst, of course. And reactant cannot be the answer, because it's not a reactant, alright. Vanadium oxide is basically a catalyst. It's not reacting, it's not ending up in the solution, it's not getting, not its volume or anything isn't changing. And then if we talk about water, so water is going to be our reactant in this reaction. So for this, you need to go through contact process and you'll easily understand the answer. Basically, vanadium oxide speeds up the reaction and water is reacting as a reactant. Moving on to MCQ number 26, some properties which indicate the differences in elements are listed. 1 metallic character, 2 number of electron shells in an atom, number of protons in an atom, and then we have all these. Okay, which two properties increase across the period of a periodic table? When we're talking about period of periodic table, so in this we need to know that firstly metallic character. Okay, we're talking about increase in the property. Okay, make sure you know the word we're talking about, increase. So here metallic character doesn't increase, since group 1, group 2 is more, the elements that are in group 1, group 2 are more, metallic than the ones in group 7, group 8, they're gas, they're not at all metal. So metallic character decreases as we go across the period. Number of electron shells in an atom, If we look at this, so we can say that it does not increase. The number of protons in an atom, yes, number of protons in an atom increase, and total number of electrons in an atom also increases. Okay, so 3 and 4 will be the right answers. So for this option, it's D. Okay, so this I told you about metallic character. Number of electron shells. Basically, number of electron shells is the main thing that gives the periodic table its major property. That means the one that is in period 1 is going to have only one shell. The one in 2 is going to have 2 shells. So of course it cannot be the right answer. Moving on to MCQ number 27. Germanium in group 4 of the periodic table. It has a proton number of 32. Selenium in group 6 of a periodic table. It has a proton number of 34. Which prediction can be made based on the positions of germanium and selenium in the periodic table? If you look at it, so a germanium atom has 2 or more valence electrons than selenium atom. Well, no, this cannot be assumed from it. Then if we move ahead, germanium forms a Ge3 plus ion and selenium forms Se3 minus ion. Of course, we cannot say this. Germanium has more metallic character than selenium. Yes, I think, yeah. Let's see the last option. Germanium has similar properties to tellurium and selenium has similar properties to tin. Well, again, it's wrong. For this, the answer is C. Very clearly. Okay, because here we're talking about germanium, which has a proton number of 32 and it is in group 4. And that is in group, that is 6. Alright, that means these are 2 different groups over here. So that is why its answer is going to be that it has more metallic character than selenium. Moving on to MCQ number 28, the proton number of cesium is 55. And compared with lithium, the melting point of cesium is 1 and the reaction of cesium with water is okay. So let's read the options over here. Compared with lithium, the melting point of cesium, proton number of cesium is 55. If we see over here, so compared with lithium, the melting point of cesium is going to be lower. Okay, and the reaction of cesium with water is going to be more vigorous. Okay, since it's more reactive with water, so it's going to be more vigorous. And the number of valence electron in cesium is dash compared to lithium. If we see, the number of valence electron in cesium is the same as lithium because they're in the same group. So for this, we need to see lower and then more and the same. So it's D. Moving on to MCQ number 29. Nickel is a transition element. Which properties does it have? Transition elements are a great catalyst, so it's definitely going to be a catalyst. Okay, and then if we see, it conducts electricity when molten. Yes, because it's a metal, alright, it can conduct it. It has mobility. So yes. It forms colored compounds. Yes, it definitely, because it's transition element. Every transition element forms colored compounds. It has only one oxidation state in its compound. Well, the point of transition element is that they have variable oxidation state. So 4 is not the right answer for sure. So 1, 2, and 3 is the right answer, which makes it option A. Moving on to MCQ number 30. Which metal reacts with steam and can be extracted from its ore by reduction with carbon? If we see which metal reacts with steam and can be with reduction with carbon. So for this, we need to look into the processes that we have gone through, and for this, zinc, because here the characteristics, we're talking about reduction with carbon, we're talking about reaction steam, and also its answer is zinc for sure. You must have gone through all this in the extraction chapter. Alright, so this is it for this part, and I'm going to upload the last part also really soon. Make sure to check out my previous part if you have any difficulty in the paper. In case, since papers are really close and you want me to solve any specific year, any specific paper, so make sure you drop it in the comment section down below. I'll try my level best to make that video for you, upload it as soon as possible before paper so you can take full advantage of it. And thank you so much for watching, and best of luck for your exams.